Crimson Trace now offers a line of tactical-oriented products, including open and closed reflex sights, battle sights, and a robust line of rifle scopes, purpose-built with maximum features and versatility. Find out more at crimsontrace.com.
He rode out of Louisiana territory, and with his gun slung low and his microphone held high, he brought truth to a savage land. And the legend grew. Tom Gresham's Gun Talk.
All right, welcome to Gun Talk. Tom Gresham here. If you'd like to join us, it's 866-TALK-GUN, or just call me at Tom Talk Gun. A lot of things going on in the news this week. I was looking at the reports. We don't have all the information at all, even close to it. The shooting at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, a couple of days ago. We know now it was a Saudi aviation student, member of the Saudi military, who now it turns out, 4 people dead, including himself, several other people shot. Some really brave and good law enforcement officers who ran in. 2 of them got shot, but ended up being able to stop this guy. Shot him, killed him. Turns out that he had a dinner party, a few days before this with some of his buds. And at the party, they're watching videos of mass shootings. And then one of his buddies actually videotaped the shooting. 2 others were watching it. So they're part of the whole deal. It's simply a terror attack. It made me once again visit the idea of, what are you doing? How are you prepared? Have you thought about this? Do you understand that? Yes, I understand. You said, well, a terrorism attack, that would be rare. Well, actually not as rare as you think these days. Fort Hood, we've got Texas, we've got California, on and on. A number of these shootings have been terror related. And then the question becomes, okay, what if you get caught in the middle of one of those? What are you carrying? Is your snub-nosed .38 going to be enough? Are you carrying a semi-automatic with enough ammo in it and an extra magazine? And do you have some skills? Do you have some training? Have you been exposed? I mean, just first right off the bat, do you understand that you need to get moving right away? Move. Get yourself into a place where you can either get cover or perhaps, and let me throw this thought out to you, have you thought about this? Get your back to a wall or get somebody who's with you to be watching behind you to watch for outliers, because that may not be the only person there. We had that shooting in a Walmart, I think it was in Vegas, where a good guy moves in on the guy who's shooting other people, and he doesn't know, but the shooter's girlfriend sneaks up behind the good guy and shoots him in the back of the head. She's an outlier just watching to see who shows up to try to stop the mass murder. You can't have eyes in the back of your head. Do you have a conversation with the person that you spend time with all the time, your spouse? What are we going to do if? Even if that, it would be great if that person is trained and has a gun and knows how to use it. But even without that, if that person can know, okay, put your hand on my shoulder, you're going to go wherever we're going to go, we're going to move, we're going to stay together, but you're looking around, you're looking to the side, you're looking behind, and you're watching to see what's going on. Oh, gee, that would require us to, train. Which brings us to our guest. Several years ago, we started doing some video work, working with the folks at FRC Shooting Range in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and they have an really, really interesting program going on right now. John Hanchey joins us from FRC. He is the general manager and the chief instructor there. Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Well, I am doing great. You guys have a great range, and people in the Baton Rouge area, actually anywhere in the south part of Louisiana, ought to know about it and come take a look at what you guys have been doing there.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. We miss you around here. I haven't seen you in a while. I've seen Ryan several times at KJ, but I haven't seen you in what? It's been, I guess, about a year.
It's probably been a year. That's right. I got to make those young guys work now and then, so that's a good thing, too.
Yeah, well, it's always an honor to have you here, and I hope you know you've got an open door anytime you want to come, Tom.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, what I wanted to do is, when I saw this program called the Sentinel Program, and then the Junior Sentinel Program, explain what the Sentinel Program is, and kind of, first of all, what is it? Let's talk about that.
So the Sentinel Program is basically, it's a comprehensive program that's designed to educate the armed citizen in all the aspects of firearm safety, including responsible gun ownership, ethical and moral obligations of carrying a gun for self-defense, legal parameters and the ramifications of using deadly force if you have to, and of course marksmanship, gun handling skills, individual tactics, and both for avoiding or, if necessary, prevailing in a violent encounter. It is a quantitatively measured course. In other words, they are tested they're tested extensively on every aspect of all the courses that they take. So, we're very much proponents of being able to quantify the training, and it's basically designed to take the novice shooter all the way through quantifiable competence.
All right, this is not, and because you mentioned the classes or the courses, this is not a class or a course. This is a whole bunch of courses, isn't it?
Yes, sir, that's correct. The Sentinel candidates actually are required to take 10 of our flagship courses, which include first-time shooter class, the Louisiana Concealed Handgun Permit class, a draw clinic, the concealed carry enhanced class, defensive pistol. They also take hemorrhage trauma. They also are required to attend the Louisiana Legal Seminar, which is, interestingly enough, typically presented by Attorney James Reeves out of New Orleans. I'm sure you're familiar with him. There's also a force-on-force class that they have to take, which is very interesting. Normally simunitions type training is exclusively for the military and law enforcement, but we're very privileged in the fact that we're able to offer that to the civilian population.
That's terrific. It is so valuable, and you get that. And we do it, as you know. We've shot some of the first-person defender shows with you guys, and what you always hear from everybody is, "Wow, I never thought of that." Happens every single time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing, our shoot house, so we have a 3,200 square foot, 2-story, fully furnished shoot house.
It's amazing.
And basically, and the staff here, we basically call it the ego buster, because the whole dynamic, that people come in and they think they can shoot, and a lot of them really can, but once they get in there, the entire dynamic changes when the targets start shooting back at you.
Okay, so all right, and then you've got the force-on-force, and then what else is involved in this program?
There's also quite a large block of private one-on-one instruction that's not typically available to our other customers. It's kind of exclusive for the Sentinel program. And then there's an entire day of qualification. Like their qualification test is actually an 8-hour ordeal, so to speak. It's quite challenging. They've got to pass a live fire qualification designed by the instructor staff here at FRC. They also have to pass a simunitions qualification inside the shoot house, which incorporates a lot of the CQB techniques. Also different scenarios like home intruder, active shooter, things like that. And then there's a 100-question written exam, and it's very heavily weighted towards the Louisiana legal statutes, and it's not a multiple choice true false. It's essay and short answer. So it's quite a challenging course. Yes, sir.
What do you get at the end of this long involved taking all these courses? I mean, is there like this super certificate, or is there something you get?
Well, I'll tell you, the most important thing they get is peace of mind. When they finish this course, Tom, they will basically have more firearm-specific training than the average street cop. The Department of Justice did a report several years back where they estimated that the average police officer spends about 110 hours on self-defense and firearms training. Of that 110 hours, 60 of it is firearms specific. The Sentinel program is actually closer to 65, 70 hours of firearms specific training. So they will literally have at least as much as or more than the average police officer. And then there are some bennies. Of course, they're going to get the really, really nice frameable certificate. They're going to get the Sentinel patch. They will have earned that patch. And they also get their name on the wall as an FRC Sentinel, and it's displayed here inside the range.
Now, what I also found interesting, you have the Sentinel program, but you have a junior Sentinel program. What's that?
That's what I'm really most excited about. I've got about 7 candidates now in the adult program, and we're working on getting our first couple of junior Sentinels. You know, I'm so concerned about the whole virtual reality and the video game thing, and I want the new generation to learn the respect and the responsibility that comes with dealing with firearms. What's interesting about the Junior Sentinel program is that these kids, and it starts at 12 and up, Tom, but these kids are going to learn every single thing that the adults learn. The only thing that's different is they won't actually get a concealed handgun permit out of it.
Okay, yeah, because they can't, obviously they're not old enough.
The class. That's right, but they still take the class, and they still learn all of that valuable legal information and everything. They just won't get the permit, but they're literally going to be taking the same training that the adults do.
How long does it take to go through the entire program?
So we work at the student's pace, okay? It is conceivable that you can finish the program in about 90 days, okay? If they were to schedule their classes back-to-back when they're offered, they could conceivably finish in about 90 days. But we do work at the student's pace, so it's very flexible. They can finish in 90 days. They can finish in 6 months. It just depends on their schedule. So we're very flexible with their schedule. I mean, time is precious for a lot of these folks.
I'm thinking about, a lot of people be interested in this. Obviously, you got to live in the area to take advantage of it. But if somebody runs a shooting range in another part of the country and they're thinking, that sounds pretty cool, I'd like to talk to John about that. Would you be willing to chat with other shooting ranges about what you're doing? Oh,
my God, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. I'm a range operator, right, Tom? So I got to keep the lights on, right?
Right.
So I have to earn money and everything. But that's not what we're all about at FRC. We're about mission, and the more people, you were talking about the active shooter in Pensacola, and gosh,
right.
What would you do? Are you trained? All this kind of stuff. And what a tragedy, our prayers and our thoughts go out to those poor people. But hey, what are we trying to achieve? We want people to get trained. This
Sure.
whole thing kind of formed in my mind. I'm sure you're familiar with Carl Wren. I'm sure you know him. He just came out with this fabulous book, Strategies and Standards for Defensive Handgun Training, and some great information in that book. Well, I was reading that, and it really got me to thinking, well, how do we get people to train past the state minimums? And this program is kind of the brainchild of that.
Wow.
I would love for other ranges to call me and ask me about it, because
Okay.
I'd be more than willing to help them, set up their own programs.
And the website is frcbr.com. That's for Baton Rouge, frcbr.com, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And the Sentinel program has its own class tag in there. They can just pull it right up and read all about it.
Sounds good. John, thank you so much. I look forward to getting back and spending some time with you guys.
Well, I hope so. I want to see you soon, Tom. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, okay?
You bet. And thank you for what you're doing. That is important stuff. 866-TALK-GUN. Would you sign up for a program like that? I mean, ongoing, stacking it up, one building block program, one on top of the other, getting better and better and better. Going to take some time, going to take some money. Is that something you would do? 866-TALK-GUN.
This is Jeff with Black Hills Ammunition. Shooters looking for ultimate performance and 300 blackout will be pleased with our new 110 grain tip TSX load. This round performs well through tough barriers such as car doors and windshields, making it a great choice for police patrol rifles. It also provides superior performance on whitetails and monster hogs. This round is a great all-around thermal performer. Black Hills Ammunition, the power of performance.
This land, once wild and free, fades now from our memory. But I remember what it was like, what we were like, what we are capable of when we band together. Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. These natural wonders are where waterfowl begin their cycle of life, where the deer and the antelope play, and where we, the people, gather together to see and share. what makes the outdoors so great. The time is now to band together with organizations like Ducks Unlimited. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
You need a shotgun. You really do. Home defense, hunting, tactical, target, competition. Mossberg. Yes, Mossberg. That's all you need to know. Pumps, autos, over-unders, extended mags, detachable box mags, sights, slings, 12, 20, 28, and 410. Wood synthetic, rugged metal coatings. And of course, the revolutionary Shockwave. Not technically a shotgun, but it's awesome. Short, powerful, and life-saving. Making rugged guns for Americans for 100 years. Find your shotgun at mossberg.com.
Black Friday. Yeah, we got some numbers out of Black Friday. You know, not the regular sales. Talking about guns. Black Friday gun check numbers from the FBI. More than 200,000 background checks were done on Black Friday gun purchases. In all, let's see, the Bureau posted 202,465 checks Friday, an 11% increase from last year, and falling just short of the single-day record that was in 2017. Also, just got some numbers from the National Shooting Sports Foundation. They put out a release on how many guns are in private hands in the United States of America. And I've made guesses before. We've all made guesses. But they decided, well, let's go take a look. They did research. I was off. Boy, was I ever. I was off by half, 200%, if you look at it the other way. They're saying 423 million. I like that number. 423 million firearms owned by the public in private hands in the United States of America. And when you look at modern sporting rifles, semi-automatic rifles, AR-15s if you prefer, it's getting real close to 18 million. Talk about being in common use. And why would I use that term? Well, in the Heller decision, the Supreme Court decision, Justice Scalia said the government cannot ban guns that are in common use. All these assault weapon bans of guns that are in common use, if we can just get a case in front of the Supreme Court, we can challenge that. Actually, an injunction was just filed, or a request for an injunction in California, because California has the so-called assault weapon ban. And the Firearms Policy Coalition challenged that and said, wait. That actually is a violation of the law. That's unconstitutional according to the Supreme Court's Heller decision. We'll see what happens there. 423 million guns in private hands. Yeah, this is interesting. And gee, why isn't the media talking about this? And while those numbers keep going up, more and more people are buying guns. More people are getting carry permits. More people are carrying guns for self-defense. More people are keeping guns in their homes for self-defense. And the crime rate keeps going down. The murder rate keeps going down. Crimes committed with firearms keeps going down. Accidental gunshot deaths keep going down. Accidental gunshot deaths of youngsters, of youth, that number is at the lowest it's ever been in recorded history in the United States. 423 million guns, and the murder rate goes down. The accidental gunshot rate goes down. What happened to that whole more guns equals more crime thing? Tom's with us out of Stevensville, Michigan on line one. Hey, Tom, you're on Gun Talk. What's going on here?
Hi, Tom. Thanks for taking my call. My question is whether or not I need to be concerned about condensation forming inside my carry pistol due to temperature extreme swings. More specifically, the office where I work does not allow firearms in its facilities. If I brought my pistol in to work with me, I could get fired. Okay. So every day when I get to work, I lock my gun in a lock case in the trunk of my car. Then when I get off work, I take it out and holster it on my hip.
Got it.
So now I live in Michigan.
It's cold.
Yeah, it's near or below freezing outside almost a third of the year or more. And I have to think when that gun is that cold and then quickly warms up on my hip, that condensation forms on all the internal parts. Now, could this repeated moisture exposure cause corrosion of the metal parts over time?
Yes, without a doubt. But honestly, it's no different from where I live down in southern part of the country. You're wearing a gun, you're sweating all the time. Well, it's getting wet from that as well, and that's corrosive, stuff. Here's the deal. At least once a week, at an absolute minimum, you need to take that carry gun out of the holster, unload it, take it apart, and wipe it down with a good gun oil, something that prevents rust. Once a week at a bare minimum. Maybe twice a week is better. It would take only 5 minutes. It's not a big deal. You are absolutely correct to be concerned about this. That is a thing, and it's really easy. And you know what I'm talking about. It's easy to get into the pattern of I put it on every day, I do this deal, I put it on, and you suddenly look up, you go, it's been a month since I've taken this thing out of the holster and cleaned it. And what you will find is there may be some small areas where you're starting to pick up a little bit of rust inside of the slots and screws and the grips, little places on the slide perhaps. So for everybody who's carrying a pistol, honestly, once a week, I don't, figure out when you're going to do it, but I think that's probably not a bad interval, once a week. Take it apart, unload it, please. Point it in a safe direction. Take it apart. Don't spray it. Please don't spray guns with oil. Spray, if you've got spray oil, spray it on the cloth and then wipe the gun down. If you've shot the gun, then certainly clean it with a solvent and then wipe it down with a good gun oil, some kind of rust protectant. You can find all these gun cleaning products over at Brownells, our good friends there. They have some of the best stuff ever. That's where I go for all my stuff. It's Brownells, Brownells, Brownells.com. Take a look at their gun cleaning stuff. I use their rust preventative stuff, everything from the stuff you put on the guns to the vapor barrier chips you put in safes. Really good stuff. When you're down here in the humid South, you worry about rust all the time. Excellent point. Thank you for the call. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back with more Gun Talk. All right, back with you. Tom Gresham, 866-TALK-GUN. Get you in here. Thinking about this terror shooting, that's all it is, at Naval Air Station in Pensacola. There'll be more of those. We've had quite a few of them already in the U.S. There'll be more. They pop up where you least expect it. Of course, gun-free zones are a good place for them. Military bases are, in fact, gun-free zones. But if you carry everywhere you can and keep your head on a swivel, you can react quickly. Now, the question is, how do you react? Do you just leave the area? Might not be a bad idea. Do you take action against the shooter? Depends on the situation. What if you have family members with you? Well, in the middle of that, it's a really bad time to try to figure it all out. You might want to have thought about that ahead of time and maybe even get some training. There are a lot of places now that are teaching active shooter training. What do you do if? And if you get into force-on-force shooting, you will find out very quickly that just being the good guy doesn't mean you don't get hurt in these deals. And it's exceptionally dangerous to insert yourself into the middle of it. And yet, I understand, and yet, a lot of us have said, yes, we will. That being the case, what do you carry? What are you carrying on you? What do you carry for a pistol? What do you carry for extra ammunition? What do you carry for medical equipment? I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking, right now as I'm doing the show, let's see, I have 13 plus 1, 14 rounds in a pistol, and I've got 13 rounds on the other side of my belt, and then I've got a tourniquet in a pocket, and I haven't left the house today. So, just saying, you might want to be thinking about things like that. Brian's called in from Huntsville, Alabama on 4. Brian, talking about this carrying your vehicle in a box. We had that question. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a similar situation. Alabama has a law that you can, as long as it's not on federal property, you can keep your firearm in your car. I've been doing it a while, and what is cut down on my cleanings is simply taking that box, make sure it's reasonably sealed, and put silica gel packs in there. That way, at least, there's no moisture inside of the pistol once it's brought out and exposed to the outside air. And it's cut down on the cleanings tremendously.
Interesting. So basically a silica gel pack just absorbs moisture, and you can try to swipe them out of all the little boxes you get, or you can actually buy silica gel packs that are made for that. Again, Brownells has those. I'm going to throw out a thought for you here, Brian. I'm looking at the Brownells website. They have this thing called Rust Blocks, BLOX. They're called vapor tabs. They are about the size of a Triscuit cracker, if you know what that.
Wow.
Okay, and you get a dozen of them for $8, and they give off a gas that basically stops rust. So you throw a couple of those in the box with your pistol. I keep like 24 of them in my gun safe in there because, It is the human South, just like you are. And I'm thinking, for $8 for a dozen of these things, why would you not? And yeah, absolutely use the silica gel, but also throw a couple of these in as well. Why not? This is like the cheapest, most effective thing I can think of for anybody who's concerned about rust on guns.
I'll be trying it.
Okay, it's called Rust Blocks, BLOX, at the Brownells website. And all of us, and I appreciate what you're saying there, because there are times, frankly, all of us have to leave a gun in the car somewhere. I'm going to a place where I can't take my gun. I'm going into a courthouse. I'm going into a police station. I'm going into a post office, which now is prohibited. You can't take your gun in there, and you got to leave it in the car. Where do you leave it? What do you do? And if you got to leave it for all day, if you got to go into someplace, now it's a whole different deal. And I would sure encourage people to use some kind of locking system because a lot of guns get stolen from cars. Please, please, please don't just stuff it into the center console because that's the first place they look. There you go. Hey, Brian, thank you for... Oh, by the way, Brian, I'll be on your local Huntsville station in the morning, so tune in. I'll be joining you there. So, all right, let's hop over to Rusty in Shreveport, Louisiana. On line tell you what, Rusty, don't go anywhere. I realize I'm just about out of time. I'm going to come right back to you because I'm going to get to that information on that Sentinel program, and I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in Shreveport as well. We'll take a quick break here. We're going to come back to Rusty, 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
When the U.S. military's elite units and law enforcement agencies across the globe demanded innovation and reliability, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. When world champion professional shooters demanded precision accuracy, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. So it's no surprise more and more civilian gun owners are refusing to settle for anything less. They're choosing Sig Sauer firearms, ammunition, electro-optics, suppressors, air guns, and training. Sig Sauer. Never settle.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
With you. We had a little bit earlier, John from FRC Range in Baton Rouge talked about their Sentinel program, and I think Rusty's got a question about that. Line 2. Hey, Rusty, how you doing, man? Maybe Rusty's there. All right, well, you know what? Rusty kept him on a little bit too long. Sorry about that. Here's the deal. If Rusty's listening or if you want more information, this is interesting what they're doing at the FRC Range in Baton Rouge. It is a series of classes. It's not one class you go and take. And you take it over a period of 90 days to 6 months as they offer them, and they get you scheduled in there. It's basically what it is. It's an organized way for you just to become very competent and knowledgeable. Rather than say, I'm going to go take a gun class, say, no, I'm going to start my education. And I like that aspect of it. If you want more information about what they're doing, their website is FRCBR. It's FRC, they're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, FRCBR.com, and they have the information there. And John Hanchey, he's the general manager and chief instructor at FRC. He said, look, if there's another range somewhere, they want to talk to me about what we're doing, find out, we can talk about it, describe how it's put together and everything, by all means, give them a call. Why would you do something like that? Why would you sign up for a whole bunch of classes? Well, let's see. First of all, it's very interesting. It is fun. It's challenging. You will learn a lot. You get to shoot a lot. You will learn a lot about the law. You learn about stopping the bleed, about medical trauma things. And when you come out of it on the other side, you will have a level of confidence that actually is matched by your level of competence. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people who have a level of confidence that's based on nothing more than fooling themselves. The Dunning-Kruger effect is very much in play on some of this. So people who don't have much competence, who very much overestimate how good they are. And weirdly enough, according to the Dunning-Kruger effect, people who have a lot of competence, who are very good, often underestimate their ability. But we don't see a lot of that. We sure see a lot of people who took a concealed carry class 10 years ago and they think that they are really super swift. You're not. Let me just say you're not. If you aren't taking regular classes, your skills are going downhill. And yes, you may be going out and shooting, but are you really practicing? Are you practicing malfunction drills? Are you practicing drawing and moving? Are you practicing drawing with your weak hand? I dare say I bet most people have never practiced drawing with their weak hand. If you're right-handed, put your right hand on top of your head and draw your pistol out and shoot. It's a mess. And there are ways you can learn to do that. You really want to get some training in that, because if you try to do it on your own with a loaded gun, there's at least somewhat of a chance you're going to put a hole in yourself somewhere. That's kind of the antithesis of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to avoid getting bullet holes in ourselves. So putting them in ourselves, that's a bad idea. There are ways to train for this. There actually are ways that you can train to clear a malfunction, a jammed gun, if you will, one-handed. It's ugly and nobody likes training on that stuff, but it's really important if you get in the middle of a real bad situation. The whole idea is you have to fight to the end to get to the other side and stay alive and keep your family alive. I mean, when you really get down to it. But would you take a whole bunch of classes like this? And I didn't even ask John. I probably should have. What would it cost? I don't know. But I mean, people go to Gunsight and Thunder Ranch and SIG Academy, and they'll take a whole series of classes. I mean, I know a lot of people who've been to Gunsight and taken the 250 class, the 350 class, and on, taken a rifle class, take a pistol class. Speaking of that, rifle classes, I took a combo class recently. I talked about it here. It was pistol and rifle. Rifle, in this case, being carbine, AR-15. More and more people I talk to these days are having a truck gun or a car gun, a vehicle gun. Is that something you do, or have you considered it? And if you do, what do you carry in your vehicle? Do you carry an AR-15? If you carry a long gun, I got a buddy in Texas. I love his style. He carries a 45-70 lever action. Well, that's actually not bad when you think about it. If you had to try to solve a situation, a 45-70 lever action, maybe not a bad idea. Thinking about AR-15s, also low-powered variable scopes. Something that starts from 1, goes like 1 to 4, 1 to 6. Leave it on 1, especially if it's illuminated. It basically functions like a red dot. But if you needed to, if something was going on down the way at 200 yards and you could crank it up to 4, 5, 6 power, and you could take care of that problem. I know, very low percentage, very low possibility you'd ever need that, but boy, if you need it more than anything. On line 4, Ray's with us, joining us out of the state of New York. Talk about Chief Justice Roberts. Ray, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm a little concerned here because if you hark back to about, I think it was 2010, Chief Justice Roberts was the final vote that basically told us that the government could force us to buy insurance. So, and that was really a warped decision because they decided, well, we won't call it a fee, we'll call it a tax, and that's how we get around it. Mm-hmm. Well, I have two problems with that. One, I don't know if we can count on him. I know we have Alito, we have Thomas, we have Gorsuch, and we have Kavanaugh, and they really want to take this case, I'm sure. Right. And they want to resolve it in our favor, I think. But Roberts is kind of a virtue signaling kind of guy, and also he screwed us twice over because you know what he did? When he did that decision or led that decision on the health care, now if a state says we want you to carry $1,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 in liability insurance before you can own a gun, well, what are you going to say? You can't force us to buy insurance? No, the court already said that state can force you to buy insurance. Yeah,
and look, we understand that. Roberts is the swing vote. I think he likes playing that position. So we have 4 conservative justices, we have 4 liberal justices, and Roberts, some people say, well, he's conservative. He's not, and we know that. In this particular case, let's harken back to the case that was heard on Monday before the Supreme Court, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus the City of New York. I think Roberts wants to be one who says the case is moot. They will not hear it. I have a theory to throw out. It's not original with me, but I'm not going to share who shared it with me because he may not want me to. But there's an idea out there that within the Supreme Court, the justices, they talk all the time. They work together. And they do these, well, if you do this, let's do that. I'll support you on this. What if, and obviously Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito would really like to take this case. They'd like to support gun rights. But if they're looking at it and going, okay, Chief Justice Roberts is leaning toward kicking it out, declaring it moot, maybe one of them goes to him and says, all right, here's the deal. I'll actually vote with you on this. I'll join you with this. But you got to agree to take one of the Second Amendment cases that's coming our way, because there are like 2 or 3 really good cases headed to the Supreme Court right now. Maybe even better cases, honestly, than this New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case. And I have we'll never know if this kind of deal gets done, but it's kind of fun to think about, and it's very possible something like that could happen. So I guess where I am is, if this particular case that's before them right now, if the Supreme Court turns around and says, okay, because of the weirdness of this, we're going to say that the case is moot, there's really no case, we're not going to hear it, or we're not going to go forward, we're not going to decide it on its merits, we're going to kick it back to the lower court, it doesn't disturb me hugely. I would love for them to take it, but I am also encouraged because I think there will be more cases coming that they will actually take, maybe better cases. There's also, and I mean, I want to circle back down, and look, Ray, thank you for the call, circle back to where I always end up. Judges and justices. Donald Trump has put 165 federal judges on the bench. He has flipped 3 circuit courts to conservative. He's put 2 justices on the Supreme Court. If we get 2 more, the Second Amendment becomes a lot safer, a lot more protected. So 4 more years of him, I think, gets us 2 more justices on the Supreme Court. That would be huge. And frankly, I think it has the potential for negating, undoing, actually, in fact, repealing a lot of these devastating gun control, gun confiscation, assault weapon type bans. That would be pretty darn special. Yeah, it's the time of year we're buying stuff, gifts for everybody, but if you buy stuff for yourself, and even if you don't want to spend a lot of money, I have just been, I want to say wasting time, but it's actually very productive time during the breaks, because I went over and looked up something at the Brownells website, and you know how that ends up being a rabbit hole, and going down that. And I had their vapor blocks, or rust preventive Triscuits, I call them, wheat thins, something like that. They're very cool. And then I see that they have these triple tough premium storage bags. They're made of plastic, but some kind of polymer. Thin, flexible, store your guns in them, seal them up. They're completely moisture proof. So give your gun a good treatment with some kind of rust preventative oil. I like the Brownell's, what do they call it? Polar Protected number 2, I think they call it. And then put in this plastic bag, seal it up. Actually, I like to drop a couple of those vapor blocks in as well, and basically don't worry about it. And I like it when they say in here, actually, whether you're storing in a vault or the back corner of a closet, will never break down, even if in full contact with soil or moisture. Wonder what they're talking about there. But seriously, you can treat yourself. Go over to the Brownells website, brownells.com, and look at what they have there. It's just like one thing after another. If you sign up there, they will send you alerts when they're doing sales. They've had a lot of really good sales over the last few weeks, I've been noticing. Just cool stuff. See if I can find that. And I always keep a big bottle of it. It's funny, I don't remember what the name of it is. It's like Polar Protected number 2. It's a gun oil that they have had for me. There it is. Rust Preventative number 2. That's what it is. Brownell's Rust Preventative number 2. Get it in the squeeze bottle. It's not aerosol, and so you get an awful lot out of a bottle. Get a use out of it. What is it? Let's see, 1 pint. And then you can get refills for it. So, yeah, Rust Preventative number 2. But just in terms of taking care of your guns or taking them apart, they have AR parts. They sell ARs, as a matter of fact. They've got all sorts of stuff. It's just a neat site, and if you're buying for others or buying for yourself, if you're a gunny, I just can't think of a better place. Had a call from a buddy of mine this week. He said, hey, I've decided to get a revolver. Didn't own one. He said, I've been watching you carrying yours when we were up in Idaho, but I want something small and light. And I said, he wants a 38/357. If you want the lightest thing that I can think of right off the bat, the Ruger LCR is very good. You kind of got to look at the Smiths and the Rugers and compare. If you're looking at revolvers, there's a difference in the trigger pull in those, the double action trigger pull we're talking about, not the single action. Double action trigger pull, because he's thinking about self-defense from whether it be snakes or cougars or something out there. You will like one better than the other. I don't know which that will be. I have both. I like them both, the J-frame Smiths as well as the Rugers. Some people prefer Ruger, some people prefer Smith. The good news, as we like to say, is you can't make a bad choice here. They're all going to be good. But I thought it was interesting. This is a guy who, and people say, well, revolvers, that's old. Yeah, but they're good. They're reliable. They're easy to carry. They're simple. And they're versatile, because if you get a 357, you can shoot 38 specials. You can shoot 38 special wad cutters. You can shoot shot charges, snake loads with them if you're in snake country. Or you can shoot full house 357 Magnum, which is a serious load, whether it's against two-legged or four-legged predators. So I kind of thought that was a bit enlightened. I know everybody's thinking, semi-autos this and that, and high cap this and that. I get all that. But, if you've got all of those you want and you don't have a revolver, now you've just figured out what your Christmas present is. What are you going to get for Christmas? Is it going to be one of those long, skinny boxes under the tree? Or you get yourself a handgun? Or maybe training? I'd love to know. 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, what's going on in Virginia? It's a tidal wave of pro-Second Amendment resistance.